नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका। मैं हूं आपके साथ सुमित अवस्थी और आप एनडीटीवी पर हमारा इलेक्शन कार्निवाल देख रहे हैं। करीब 13 राज्यों तक 7400 किलोमीटर का सफर तय करने के बाद एनडीटीवी का काफिला एक बार फिर उत्तर प्रदेश में एंट्री कर चुका है। उत्तर प्रदेश में इस वक्त हम झांसी में हैं। मेरे पीछे आप देख सकते हैं झांसी का किला आपको दिखाई दे रहा है और झांसी की ये जंग बहुत ही दिलचस्प इस बार हो गई है। सिटिंग एमपी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हैं, लेकिन जो उनके चैलेंजर हैं वो यहाँ से एमपी रह चुके हैं और मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार में मंत्री रह चुके हैं। इन दो के बीच कहा जा रहा है कि इस बार कांटे की टक्कर है। कांग्रेस का गठबंधन सपा के साथ है, इस बार बसपा के साथ नहीं है। पिछली बार सपा यहाँ पे लड़ी थी, नंबर 2 आई थी। इस बार बसपा अलग है और बसपा अलग होने की वजह से क्या इंडिया अलायंस जो बना हुआ है उसको फायदा होगा या नुकसान। और प्लस मेरे साथ यहाँ बहुत बड़ी संख्या में झांसी के आवाम भी मौजूद है। जोरदार तालियां आप सबका, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मेरे साथ यहाँ जुड़ने के लिए इस मंच पे। और हम बातचीत करेंगे, झांसी के बारे में बात करेंगे, उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में बात करेंगे और ये बात भी करेंगे कि देश की राजनीति पर इस सीट के नतीजे कितना असर डालने वाले हैं, क्योंकि उत्तर प्रदेश में बार बार कहा जा रहा है कि राम मंदिर की हवा चल रही है। खैर, तमाम मुद्दों पर लौटेंगे। स्थानीय कलाकार भी मेरे साथ होंगे। एक ऐसे ही कलाकार को हम खोज के लाए हैं क्योंकि हम झांसी में हैं, झांसी में आए और रानी लक्ष्मीबाई जी की बात ना हो, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है। आपके लिए झांसी से रानी लक्ष्मीबाई, आइए। रानी लक्ष्मीबाई बनी हुई हैं, जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत करिए। क्या बात है, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आप लोगों ने ये तैयारी कर दी इस चीज के लिए। अब ये बताइए आप क्यों रानी लक्ष्मीबाई की रूप ये वेशभूषा में रहती हैं, क्या
क्योंकि
इंस्पिरेशन क्यों है वो आपकी?
मुझे मेरी झांसी में रहना पसंद है और झांसी का रूप इसलिए धारण करती हूँ क्योंकि मैं एक कलाकार नहीं हूँ झांसी की, लेकिन झांसी के रूप में जब मैं आती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि यार मैं झांसी की हूँ। और झांसी में जब तक झांसी का रूप धारण ना करूँ रानी लक्ष्मीबाई का, तब तक तो लगता ही नहीं है कि मैं झांसी से हूँ, या फिर मेरे अंदर ऐसी वीरांगता नहीं झलकती कि मैं झांसी की हूँ। और मैं
स्वभाव से भी आप वीरांगना है, अपने परिवार में आगे पीछे रहती है, अपने मुद्दों के लिए लड़ती रहती है।
बिल्कुल सर।
तो फिर हम झांसी के पास हैं, झांसी के किले के पीछे खड़े हुए हैं, आप साथ में हैं। सुभद्रा कुमारी चौहान जी की मशहूर कविता है, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, मुझे वो याद आ रही है। आपको याद है?
यस सर, बिल्कुल याद।
बिल्कुल।
बुंदेले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी। चमक उठी सन 57 की वह तलवार पुरानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी। भाई
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए।
थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू भैया, थैंक यू। तो आइए बातचीत का सिलसिला शुरू करते हैं। यहाँ झांसी की जनता की बेचैनी बढ़ती जा रही है। ये लोग सब अपने नुमाइंदों से, जिनको चुनकर भेजने वाले हैं, उनसे सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं। आप सबके पास भी मैं आऊँगा, लेकिन पहले मंच पे चलते हैं। मेरे साथ 3 खास मेहमान यहाँ मौजूद हैं। जोरदार तालियां बजा के स्वागत कर लीजिए अपने अपने लोगों का। मेरा मत करिए, मेरा स्वागत आप कर चुके हैं। मैं परिचय कराता हूं। मेरे पास मेरे लेफ्ट में गौरव बैठे हुए हैं, गौरव जैन, जो कि कांग्रेस के यहाँ के प्रत्याशी प्रदीप जैन जी के सुपुत्र भी हैं, कांग्रेस पार्टी के टीवी पैनलिस्ट भी हैं। और ख़ास बात यह है कि इनके पिताजी जो यहाँ से सांसद रहे और इस बार कांग्रेस के प्रत्याशी हैं, कांग्रेस सपा के ज्वाइंट प्रत्याशी हैं, उनकी तबीयत नासाज है तो वो यहाँ नहीं आ पाए, इसीलिए उन्होंने अपने बेटे को ये कमान सौंपी है। उनके साथ उनके लेफ्ट में प्रदीप सरावगी जी हैं, यहाँ झांसी के लिए बहुत जाना पहचाना चेहरा है। झांसी के बीजेपी के प्रत्याशी अनुराग शर्मा जी जो हैं उनके नुमाइंदे हैं, उनको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं। झांसी ज़िला के भाजपा के अध्यक्ष भी रह चुके हैं। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका प्रदीप जी, धन्यवाद। और हमारे साथ में भानु सहाय भी मेरे साथ यहाँ मौजूद हैं। भानु सहाय बुंदेलखंड अलग राज्य की जो मांग चलती रही उसका एक मोर्चा बना, नवनिर्माण मोर्चा, बुंदेलखंड नवनिर्माण मोर्चा, उसके कर्ता धर्ता हैं। और झांसी में आओ और बुंदेलखंड की बात ना हो, इस इलाके में आओ बुंदेलखंड में, और बुंदेलखंड अलग राज्य की मांग ना सुनना पड़े। मैं करीब 4 या 5 चुनाव कवर कर चुका हूं और इन 4-5 चुनावों में जब जब झांसी, ललितपुर, महोबा में आके शो करने का मौका मिला, ये बात उठती रही। मैं 2000 से देखता आ रहा हूं, पर आज जब 24 साल, मेरी उम्र 24 साल कवर करते करते हो गई, लेकिन कुछ प्रोग्रेस दिखी नहीं मुझे। ये क्यों है, ये आप मुझसे बेहतर आप जानते हैं। तो मेरा पहला सवाल आप ही से है कि ये झांसी को या बुंदेलखंड को अलग राज्य का दर्जा क्यों नहीं मिल पा रहा है? जब मूवमेंट उठता है लगता है कांग्रेस आई बना देगी, फिर लगता है भाजपा आई अब बन जाएगा, भाजपा को आए 10 साल हो गए, कांग्रेस भी 10 साल रह के चली गई, क्यों नहीं बन पा रहा है बुंदेलखंड अलग राज्य? क्यों आपकी मांगे दिल्ली तक नहीं पहुँच पा रही हैं? भानु जी।
नहीं, दिल्ली तक तो हम लोगों की मांग पहुँच गई है, कुछ ऊपर वाला मेहरबान हुआ था जिस समय कांग्रेस के नेता राहुल गांधी जी यहाँ बुंदेलखंड आके कुटी कुटी में सो रहे थे। उस समय आप लोगों ने हमारी बदहाली को पूरे देश में सम दिखाया कि बुंदेलखंड कितना बदहाल है, कितना बेहाल है, किस तरह से यहाँ लोग जीने को अपनी जीवन गुजार रहे हैं, ये सब आप लोगों ने दिखाया। उसके बाद उमा भारती जी झांसी चुनाव लड़ने आई। हाँ। उन्होंने भगवान राम को साक्षी मानकर ये कहा कि 3 साल के भीतर बुंदेलखंड राज्य बनवा दिया जाएगा। उन्हीं की बात को राजनाथ सिंह जी ने मौरानीपुर में कहा कि उमा जी के में तो इतनी शख्सियत है कि ये प्रधानमंत्री से सीधी अपनी बात बनवा सकती हैं, लेकिन अगर इन्हें कोई दिक्कत होगी तो मैं इनके वादों को पूरा कराने का कार्य करूंगा। उसके बाद झांसी में मोदी जी आए। मोदी जी एक कदम और आगे बढ़ गए कि उमा जी आप तो जैसे बुंदेलखंड में रच और रम गई हो। मेरे पास वीडियो है सब, मैं आपको दूंगा सब, आज मैंने वायरल किया है, मेरे सारे भाइयों के पास पहुंच गया होगा। मोदी जी भी यही बोले कि उमा जी आपके सारे वादों को पूरा कर कर मुझे ऐसा लगेगा कि मुझे गर्व की अनुभूति हो रही। लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं ये जो मुद्दा है ये राजनीतिक सूली पे चढ़ जाता है, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ अवैध खनन बहुत है और जितने राजनीतिक दल हैं जो सत्ता में आते हैं वो उस अवैध खनन पर अपनी निगाहें गड़ा देते हैं और वो इसलिए बुंदेलखंड बनाना नहीं चाहते कि उनको इतना बड़ा चारागाह और कहीं मिल ही नहीं सकता है जितना बुंदेलखंड में है।
जितना मैं समझा भानु जी आपकी इस इनिशियल कमेंट से, आपके हिसाब से कांग्रेस भी कुछ नहीं कर पाई और भाजपा भी कुछ नहीं कर पाई। जो मेरा सवाल था, सिर्फ कुटी कुटी आके सोने से काम नहीं चलेगा या सिर्फ झांसी में आके भाषण देने से काम नहीं चलेगा, वादे करने से काम नहीं चलेगा। अगर मैं आपकी बात को दोनों राजनेताओं के पास ले जाऊं, 10 साल ये भी रह लिए, 10 साल वो भी रह लिए, हम सबकी मेमोरी में 4 से 14 और 14 से 24 का ये कार्यकाल। तो सराबगी जी मेरा सवाल आपसे है, क्यों आप बुंदेलखंड में रह के बुंदेलखंड की मांग अपनी सरकार से नहीं मनवा पा रहे हैं? लखनऊ में आपकी सरकार, दिल्ली में आपकी सरकार,
सबसे पहले
भोपाल में आपकी सरकार रही। हाँ,
सबसे पहले मैं झांसी की धरती पर आपका स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं।
धन्यवाद।
और आपके सभी लोगों का जो झांसी से भी मीडिया कर्मी पधारे हैं जिन्होंने इतना बढ़िया मौका दिया हमको, उन सबका पहले स्वागत, अभिनंदन। जहां तक हमारे भानु साई जी ने कहा कि बुंदेलखंड की राजनीतिक और भौगोलिक स्थिति थोड़ी सी अन्य जगहों से भिन्न है। इसका एक बड़ा हिस्सा जो उत्तर प्रदेश से बड़ा हिस्सा है वो मध्य प्रदेश में आता है, 7 जिले केवल उत्तर प्रदेश में आते हैं। इस कारण से पूरी परिस्थिति नहीं बन पाती है। और जहां तक भारतीय जनता पार्टी का सवाल है, उमा भारती ने भी कहा था, राजनाथ सिंह ने भी कहा था, हम भी कह रहे हैं कि बुंदेलखंड राज्य बनना चाहिए और भारतीय जनता पार्टी छोटे छोटे राज्यों की समर्थक है। जितने भी छोटे राज्य बने हैं
तो
वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के शासन में ही बने हैं।
सवाल बनता है कि जब आपने छत्तीसगढ़ बना दिया, आपने झारखंड बना दिया, आपने उत्तराखंड बना दिया 2001 में वाजपेयी जी की सरकार,
भारतीय जनता पार्टी
क्यों नहीं बन पा रहा है बुंदेलखंड?
भारतीय जनता
यूपी एमपी दोनों जगह आपकी सरकार है।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ही केवल एक ऐसी पार्टी है जिसने राज्य पुनर्गठन आयोग गठित किया है।
ये गलत कह रहे हैं सर, गलत कह रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल नहीं, बहुत पुराना। देखिए एक मिनट, राज्य पुनर्गठन आयोग घोषित किया है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हर जगह हम लोग कहते हैं कि छोटे छोटे राज्य ही विकास का आधार हो सकते हैं।
कौन चेयरमैन?
और जो इन्होंने
गठन आयोग का चेयरमैन कौन है सर?
इन्होंने खनन की बात
तो लीजिए सर, गठित ही नहीं हुआ है, गठित ही नहीं हुआ है सर, जो बोला जा रहा है।
जो इन्होंने खनन की बात की है, आज केवल अभी 7 साल भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार को हुए, इससे पहले ये खनन आप ही के लोग करते रहे होंगे। इसका अनुभव आपको ज्यादा है, हम लोगों को इसका ना अनुभव है, ना हम लोगों का स्वभाव है, ना हमारे कार्यकर्ता ऐसा करते हैं।
In the heat and dust of politics, perspective should not get lost. Watch me decipher hard politics through an academic lens, only on NDTV.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghavan. Our focus this evening on the simultaneous assembly and parliamentary election in the state of Andhra Pradesh. What are the X factors and who has the edge at this stage? But first, the headlines we're tracking this hour, starting with a tragedy near Sivakasi. 8 people feared dead and over 12 injured after a massive explosion at a firecracker manufacturing unit. The police say this is a licensed unit which are supposed to have safety measures in place. Cause of the accident still unclear and investigations are underway. But this is not the first time such an accident has taken place, and serious questions about safety in fireworks units will be taken into focus. DK Shivkumar hits out at HD Kumaraswamy, tells NDTV exclusively that he is not a fool to leak the videos and that he had no idea about the allegations before the case was registered. HD Kumaraswamy demands a CBI probe and goes to the Karnataka governor even as Prajwal Revanna remains absconding despite an Interpol blue-collar notice. Day before hearing, Enforcement Directorate opposes Arvind Kejriwal's bail plea, argues that campaigning for elections is not a fundamental constitutional right. The ED argues that bail will set a bad precedent. The AAP hits back. Our top focus this evening on the battle for the state of Andhra Pradesh. 175 assembly seats and 25 Lok Sabha seats going in for simultaneous polls in phase 4, along with the 17 Lok Sabha seats of Telangana, along with other states across India. It's a must-win battle for Chandrababu Naidu and his TDP, and one to retain power for Jagan Mohan Reddy's YSRCP. As the battle gets intense, so is the use of money and muscle power on the ground. The Election Commission seized 8.4 crores of cash hidden in pipes and on its way to Guntur district of the state. Andhra has already seen seizures of over 160 crores in cash, liquor and goods, and much like the other states, including Telangana and Karnataka in the south, has seen seizures worth more than double of what was seen in 2019. Like the rest of the country, violent clashes have also been reported between the TDP and YSRCP workers this morning in the Guntur area. The battle is between the TDP, JSP, BJP alliance versus Jagan Mohan Reddy. While Jagan Mohan Reddy has been on an offensive against the TDP, focusing on his government's welfare schemes and reaching out to the minorities, promising to protect reservations given to them, the TDP has been on an offensive against Jagan Reddy, accusing his government of failing to protect law and order and not bolstering the state's economy, focusing on that as the party for development in Andhra Pradesh. Remember, this is also a fascinating simultaneous election. Will it be the alliance arithmetic or Jagan power? What are the X factors in the battle for Andhra Pradesh? Joining us this evening, a special panel, Sandeep Shastri of the Lokniti Network, Soumit Bhattacharjee, Bureau Chief of the Hindu from Vishakhapatnam, and NDTV's Umar Sudhir, who's traveled around coastal Andhra Pradesh and is now back in Hyderabad. My first question to you, Shumit Chatterjee. Unlike in 2019, which was an extremely one-way election at the end of it when you saw the results, this is widely recognized to be an extremely close contest between the YSRCP and the TDP, JSP, BJP alliance on the other side. What, according to you, well, there may be many factors like minority appeasement as well as focus on development, anti-incumbency and caste arithmetic. What, according to you, could be potentially a decisive factor at the end of the day that could sway this election?
Raghuveer, first of all, my name is Sumit Bhattacharjee. Yeah, so going ahead with it, the couple of things that is there is not only that, it all depends on freebies. It's the politics of freebies that is happening in Andhra Pradesh in a couple of elections that we see. Both the parties have promised freebies. Now they are trying to combine development with freebies. This apart, the major caste factors also play a role in this. Like the dominant caste factors, which have a major electoral role, is one is the Kapp community and one is the BC community. Okay, who can woo them the best? Okay, so right now, wherever the Kapu leader has been pitched in, the other opposition parties also pitched in a Kapu leader. Like let's take Pitapuram where Pavan Kalyan is contesting. There also the leader is a Kapu leader for YSRCP. So they're trying to break the caste unity there and things. So ultimately, what happens is that one key factor that would be what I see is that the percentage of voting. If the percentage of voting is high, then it can be a decisive factor from either of the the opposition or the ruling party.
Right. As you put that point out, Sumit, I just want to go across to Professor Sandeep Shastri. This is also a fascinating simultaneous election, assembly and parliamentary election here. Do you see all sides benefiting equally from the alliance that they've made? And I mean the TDP, JSP, BJP alliance. Or is there a concern it may play out, this alliance may play out differently at the assembly election level and differently at the parliamentary election level?
Veera, if you recall, I told you yesterday that yesterday's rally was like a Namoka rally. Na for Naidu, Mo for Modi, Ka for Pavan Kalyan. I think the coming together of these three leaders, as demonstrated by yesterday's road show, I think raises important questions about the contest in Andhra relating to the caste arithmetic, relating to alliance chemistry, and also relating to what our friend just now said, development economics. The caste equations in Andhra, the YSR Congress looking at caste from their perspective, whereas the TDP-led alliance is trying to also, through this alliance, bring together important caste groups as part of their strategy. Critical is the alliance chemistry. How much is the alignment effective between the three parties, especially on the ground in terms of vote transfer? The leaders have come together. Will these supporters actually come together? And the last point, which is about development economics. Yes, there are freebies. Yes, there are promises. But the voter will go by past record of performance on the ground with regard to these three promises. So the caste arithmetic, the alliance chemistry, and the development economics, I think, plays out in this election in Andhra.
As you're pointing that out, let me just go across to Uma on the alliance chemistry aspect of this. Uma, how is it playing out at the grassroots? Obviously, you had some TDP erstwhile leaders who shifted over to the BJP, moving back in and out, as you've seen in several of the other states. How does it play out at the grassroots in terms of bringing the JSP, TDP and BJP together?
One is arithmetic, one is chemistry, which we always talk about when it has to do with voters and elections. And yes, the NDA alliance would be hoping that the arithmetic of the caste equation, Kama and Kapu, which is a backward caste. Kama is a party that is seen to be largely supporting the Telugu Desam. Them coming together is seen as something that should help. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's own popularity and the BJP's image as a pro-development party, that is something that should have played a positive role for the NDA to come to power. The second part is the chemistry and the arithmetic that YSRCP is working on. The chemistry that Jagan Mohan Reddy has with the people because of the huge welfare rollout that he has done, and something that he seems to have delivered at the doorsteps of the people, and therefore the arithmetic of an SC, ST, even the OBC category, and also the minorities, Christians as well as Muslims who may be coming together with the Jagan Mohan Reddy camp. Two things you asked Mr. Sandeep Shastri as well about the difference between the parliament election and the assembly election. One surveyor who I spoke to yesterday had this to say that the assembly election is going to be very different from the parliament election outcome. I don't think so, for the simple reason that Andhra Pradesh is one state where both the TDP and the YSRCP have shown inclination to be with the centre. So will they vote with the TDP in order to get benefits from the centre? I must say the experience between 2014 and in 2019, the people's perception at least was that the BJP had not helped the state to develop at a time when it has just been bifurcated, and that is one reason that there has been anger among the people towards the BJP, and that's one reason BJP was not able to in fact grow as a party in Andhra Pradesh. So now will they change their mind? They do know that Jagan Mohan Reddy also is friendly with the centre and likes to get whatever he can get done. When Telangana was not able to do many things, Jagan Mohan Reddy was able to get those funds. So that argument may not work in this particular case. But yes, when you asked about the X factors, other than caste, other than the welfare versus development argument, there is also the capital issue. In fact, we were in Guntur district where we were talking about the capital issue, about those who had given the land for pooling and otherwise. And in this particular case as well, those regions that are in the capital region certainly wanting that Amaravati should be the capital. Rest of the state, it may not really play out as a factor. And then, of course, the Congress coming in and how much of a damage will it be able to do, especially the kind of speeches and the line that Y.S. Sharmila has been taking, and that has not added just to their narrative in a Kadapa district, but also to the kind of narrative that NDA, Chandrababu Naidu and Jagan Mohan and Pawan Kalyan have built against, against Jagan Mohan Reddy, calling him certain names which are...
Okay, Uma, just as we are focusing on that aspect that you're saying in terms of the capital and other issues which we will pick up as we go along, a quick focus to Sumit, very quickly, do we then see this, while there are issues like, for instance, how are the minorities going to vote? How is the TDP going to perhaps look at its own vote base? As we speak of those, should we also see this as an election of sub-regions? For instance, the coastal, north coastal, south coastal differently from Rayalaseema?
Yeah. Rayalaseema voting pattern would be quite different to the coastal voting pattern, because coastal, if you look at the coastal side, it has been predominantly TDP based, and Rayalaseema had been an YSRCP based. So the factors like as Uma was talking about, this capital will play a major role in the coastal region, including Guntur, Krishna, that belt, of course. So there may be some differences of voting between, but as far as Uma said, capital per se may have an impact at that particular region. It may not have a statewide impact on that. So that is one reason that we should see it in a different perspective. That region-wise voting could be different, Rayalaseema and coastal.
It's fascinating because in 2014, for instance, YSRCP had a 1% edge over the BJP alliance in Rayalaseema region, whereas it changed differently. Uma, just coming down to you as we are closing this conversation, just coming down to you, you were making an important point, and we are going to play the interviews that you've done in Guntur as well. Just post that. In terms of this sub-regional divide, quickly, very briefly, how do you see this playing out as we lead into your interviews from Guntur?
See, very clearly, when we're talking about the regions of Andhra Pradesh, the Rayalaseema region, the southern part of the state, certainly Congress was a dominant party there, and therefore seen also as a YSRCP bastion. It was seen as a Reddy bastion, and that's also the region where, in fact, you have more of the minority population there. Also, you have some minority population in Guntur region, and yes, the minority population voting is going to be important at a time when the BJP has been making announcements about no reservation for the Muslims on the basis of religion, and Naidu has been at pains to explain, saying that we are going to stick with the 4% reservation that we are giving to the Muslims, and that will continue, because the perception otherwise is that any alliance that has the BJP may not be having the minority vote. Of course, in the northern and the north coastal regions, you will see the Kama vote playing out, and also Kapu vote playing out, when very often we say that whoever is the kind of outcome that you see in the Godavari districts and in Krishna district, that will perhaps determine who comes to power in Andhra Pradesh. But going back to Guntur, where in fact just today at the borders 8 crore rupees was seized, and in a very ingenious manner that money had been in fact hidden inside trucks, 8 crore rupees from a single truck. That's also the place where the richest, so-called richest candidate at least has declared an assets of over 700 crore rupees. That person is taking on Kilari Rosaya, who says that this person is an outsider and his only claim to fame is the richest, but we are the ones who have the connect with the people. He's also pointing to the example of a Jaydev Galla, who used to be an industrialist from that very Guntur Lok Sabha seat, and in fact opted out because it appeared that the YSRCP was not industry friendly. Let's listen into what both Pemasani Chandrasekhar, said to be the richest candidate in this election, versus Kilari Venkata Rosaya, the YSRCP candidate.
As long as it fits with my ideology.
We are here in Guntur, and the man who has been making news as one of the richest MP candidates, this time from the Telugu Desam, Mr. P. Chandrasekhar. He is also very interesting because he is someone, I understand, had humble beginnings, medical professional, and then became an entrepreneur and coming back to contest from homeland.
Yes.
How has this experience so far been?
Experience is as expected because I grew up in this area for the first 25 years. I grew up in the political backdrop, so none of this is new to me.
It's interesting that Guntur Lok Sabha seat was held earlier also by someone who was moneyed, an entrepreneur, and perhaps quite similar in many ways, when Mr. Jaydev Galla has not shown any more interest for very peculiar reasons, very specific reasons, of perhaps being a little disappointed with the political system. You are making a foray.
See, I don't know why you guys are focusing so much on the money aspect, right? But unfortunately, these days politics has become an expensive process. That is the change actually we all need to discuss about it, right? Not common people cannot contest in any of these elections.
So what are you telling your voters? What is the reason that they must vote for you?
Oh, there are so many reasons. Number one, see, most of the time when people come, what is the main reason they are coming into the politics, right? That is the fundamental ideology. I don't need to come because I have probably all the comforts that anybody could ask for in this world. And the reason I came is mainly because of I want to give it back to the society. That is the main reason. Once you have that ideology, you can patiently listen to most human problems and solve most of them on a you know how to, as an entrepreneur, you know how to prioritize.
In the last 5 years, the argument by your political leaders of your party has been that no jobs, no development and so on. So what are you telling people when you're going? Is yours only about your campaign, or do you also talk like a politician and say about what YSRCP or Jagan is not doing?
No. See, the real issue is when TDP was there between 14 and 19, in addition to those 3 universities and whatever the buildings that were already constructed, Chandrababu Naidu sir gave permissions to 130 institutions total, including HCL Technology, Basavatarakam Indo Cancer Institute, Indo-UK Research Center, like this, and the biggest they also planned a biggest convention center like this, total 130. Jagan Mohan Reddy garu completely cancelled all 130 GOs. So now, as soon as we come, we have to go and ask them. Again, it's a 2 to 3 year process, even to request and somebody to come and creating a project report, building some infrastructure, creating a jobs will take 2 to 3 years. That's why I'm telling everybody, whoever is listening to it, we can't give you job on day one. This is the problem when you elect a government the government that doesn't have this pro-development nature. You don't lose 5 years, you typically lose 7 to 8 years minimum.
Guntur also has a substantive minority population, and with the BJP talking about removing reservation for minorities, isn't that a point of concern as well?
Yes, absolutely, but I want to assure all Muslim community and Christian minorities and everybody, see, 4% reservations is in a court situation, and TDP government actually paid the money to argue in the court. So definitely TDP would not go back on those reservations. So what we are telling to the communities is, we're asking your help because the state is in a lot of debt. We don't have capital, we don't have Polavaram, we don't have a single industry. So we need the support of the central government. That is the reason we're going from the front door, unlike Jagan Mohan Reddy, who is going behind and from the back door.
Evening time is when campaigning once again, in fact, picks up. And I'm here with Killari Venkat Rosaya, who is the YSRCP candidate. This is really capital area, and your party has said 3 capital, and therefore the resonance of the capital area that Mr. Chandrababu Naidu had proposed, that is very high. Are you facing that as a challenge?
No, there is no much difference between earlier government and now. What has happened is Chandrababu Naidu has cheated the people. So instead of constructing the capital in the area of only 1,000 acres, he has pulled up 55,000 acres. There is no much need of it. Actually, the time was given by the public in 2014 to 2019. He could have constructed the capital there, and he could have bring him name also. But now what he has done is he want to become a richest man in the world. So he has gone to 55,000 of acres, pulled such much of land, and want to do the real estate business. That has boomeranged in 2019 elections.
You spoke about richest candidate. The person who is put up against you is actually the richest candidate. Did that make a difference?
Yes, he is the richest candidate, but the only thing is people are coming knowing of him now. He has not paid a single rupee in government of India or Andhra Pradesh. He has his assets at USA, not at Guntur. We have a track record based on the my business track record, my father's track record, father-in-law's track record. We are known to people, whereas the opponent person is not known to each and everyone. So he has come from America and he want to contest, and he says that he is richest. There's only one point from his side is only richest.
Do people ask you about the capital issue when you go out campaigning, when people are talking? Does that bother you? Does it bother people?
There is no actually any objection from the people from the capital area, because day before yesterday I was in the Tulur area. There's no much capital issue. People, now we can only say only one word. Chandrababu Naidu has cheated thousands of farmers. He has pooled land, waste of land, and he has cheated the people.
What are you telling people why they should vote for you? You have, of course, been someone who's represented. This is a belt of tobacco as well as the chili belt. And you have been very actively involved with the market yard running and all
Yes. See, what is happening is the earlier Guntur parliament candidate. Last 2 terms, the people has voted for the Telangana party, which people have never seen a single time in the constituency. Now he has not spent a single rupee also. He is not utilized even MP lads also. So he is also a richest person. He belongs to that Amaron batteries, Mr. Galla Jaydev. He has been elected 2 terms, not seen for the people, and not even a single time. As a legislator, I have not seen him in any of the official programs also. So 2 terms, the Guntur people has been cheated by this Telangana party. Now another person has come from America. Those people doesn't want to cheated by TDP. So they want YSRCP to win this seat.
The alliance is seeking to bring the Kamma and the Kapu vote together. You, of course, are a Kapu leader as well. How do you think the alliance can work? Because Mr. Pawan Kalyan is also belonging to that community, and the hope for the alliance is also that it will bring together these 2 politically powerful groups.
It is impossible to bring Kapu and Kamma community to each other. It is impossible. Whatever the trials that have been made by Pawan Kalyan and Chandrababu Naidu, it won't work it off also. Because now Kapu people have clearly known that Chandrababu is a key person who has cheated Kapu community earlier in 2014 and 2019. So people never believe him, and we also never believe him also. And it is the only thing YSRCP, Jagan has given a lot of seats compared to Telangana people. Jagan has given 30 MLA seats and 5 parliament seats, whereas TDP has given only 14 seats and 2 parliament seats of their joint operations. So people never believe Chandrababu Naidu.
Well, the battle for Guntur as well as the battle for Andhra Pradesh. We'll keep a close tab of all the developments there, but that's all we have time for on the Southern View this evening. News and updates continue right here on NDTV.
carnival has reached the beautiful city of Nizams and kebabs, the city of Hyderabad. And you forgot the biryani and the pearls and everything else, the cuisine of Telangana that we talk about.
तेलंगाना जो सैनिक है
एक चीज मुझे
वो बीआरएस
पूछना है
पार्टी
आपसे।
है।
क्यों घबराहट है? ये तो चुनाव है, चुनाव में तो हार जीत होता रहता है।
बातों से नहीं चलेगा, काम भी दिखाना है।
Brought to you by Get Unlimited Entertainment with
दुनिया के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र का वो चुनाव जो देश और दुनिया को बदलने की ताकत रखता है। सरकार बनाएंगे करीब 100 करोड़ लोग, जिससे तय होंगे पीएम, पॉलिसी और फ्यूचर। इस सबसे बड़े चुनाव की बड़ी बातों को डिकोड करने के लिए मेरे साथ होंगे देश के जाने माने एक्सपर्ट्स। देश के चुनिंदा शहरों से एनडीटीवी की सबसे बड़ी पेशकश बैटलग्राउंड देखिए मेरे साथ सिर्फ एनडीटीवी पर, क्योंकि चुनाव मतलब एनडीटीवी।
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
Elections क्या हैं?
Election is basically a reality TV show
जिससे बिग बॉस चुना जाता है।
The biggest festival of democracy.
मेला है मेला।
हमारी आवाज।
Youth की आवाज. They make hashtags become a voting trend. They communicate their political views with memes. They turn their real ideas into reels. Youth makes elections a lot more fun, and we have just the right election shows for them. As India goes for its 18th general elections, join me, Arun Singh, for 18 Ka Vote only on NDTV. First-time voters, share your hopes and expectations from the leaders in the form of a video message. We'll feature select videos on NDTV.
36 lakh farmer families affiliated with Amul across 18,600 villages of Gujarat have pledged to vote with their families during these elections. I would also urge you to take this pledge and vote as a part of the democratic process of our country.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
A debate has many facets. Perhaps no one right answer. Left, right, and center. Conversations that get to the core of the debate.
The 2024 Lok Sabha polls are crucial for the future of this country. Having covered elections for 35 years, I hope to cut through the cacophony of a long, hot summer campaign and help to understand and decode the issues, the challenges, and finally, the outcome.
As citizens of this great nation, we have the power to shape its future. And one of the most crucial ways we can do that is by casting our vote. It's not just a right for every citizen, it's a responsibility. a responsibility to ourselves, to our communities, and to our country. So, I urge all of you to exercise your right to vote. I always ensure that I fulfill this duty to our country.
Day before hearing, Enforcement Directorate opposes Kejriwal's bail plea, argues that campaigning for elections is not a fundamental right. ED argues that bail will set a bad precedent. Aam Aadmi Party has now hit back. PK Shivakumar hits out at HD Kumaraswamy, tells NDTV that he is not a fool to leak the videos and that he had no idea about the allegations earlier. HD Kumaraswamy demands a CBI probe and goes to the Karnataka governor even as Prajwal Revanna remains absconding despite a blue-collar notice. Tragedy near Sivakasi in Tamil Nadu. 8 people feared dead and over 12 people have been injured after a massive explosion at a firecracker manufacturing unit. The police say that this is a licensed unit which is supposed to have safety measures in place. Cause of the accident is still unclear and investigations are underway, but this is not the first time such an accident has taken place. This raises serious questions about safety in these factories. In the midst of Haryana crisis, is JJP headed for a split? Dushyant Chautala seeks a floor test and JJP MLAs in fact meanwhile meet BJP. Bhupinder Hooda has pushed for president's rule in the state. MEA issues a stern response on Niger's killing. No specific evidence shared by Canada. This is what MEA has said. Starting with some breaking news, there's a breakthrough in the Air India Express crisis. Terminated workers may be reinstated. That is what we are hearing. Marathon talks have also been held with Labour Commissioner. My colleague Vishnu Shom joins us with more details on this. Vishnu, what is the latest update on this?
Well, the latest update is something which I've received in my on my phone just about 5 minutes back, less than 5 minutes back, and this is the order on the basis of which, Vasudha, we can now report that this crisis in Air India Express is now likely over, and significantly those cabin crew workers who were sacked by the airline, terminated by the airline, are likely to return immediately. I'm just going to read out what this says. Now, this is a letter signed by representatives of the union, representatives of the management. We've got signatures on both sides. It was held in the presence of the Conciliation officer and the Chief Labour Commissioner of Delhi. And the operative parts of this are that on appeal of the Chief Labour Commissioner, the management has agreed to reinstate 25 cabin crew who have been terminated on the 7th and 8th of May 2024 for reporting sick as a concerted action immediately. The management will review the cases of these cabin crew as per service regulations. So we need to find out what exactly that means, but they will be brought back to service. Representatives of the management assured that all the issues of cabin crew raised before the management and during conciliation proceedings will be looked into and resolved. The conciliation proceeding is therefore adjourned for the moment. Both the parties were present and held a conciliation proceedings after detailed discussions, persuasion and on appeal of conciliation officers and the Chief Labour Commissioner. The representatives of the union, who are members of the cabin crew, agreed that all cabin crew members who have reported sick will report for duty and provide with a fitness certificate immediately, right? So that is what has taken place now. So this is the big breakthrough that we've been waiting for. What you see over there are the signatures, and if you look at the left-hand side of your screen, those are signatures of representatives of the management of Air India Express. So that's one part of the breakthrough. And on the right-hand side are representatives of the union whose signatures are there. And right in the bottom, Onkar Sharma is the conciliation officer and the Chief Labour Commissioner Central for Delhi. So this is a massive breakthrough, and we'll have to wait and see when all the flights of Air India Express get underway, but presumably that should happen even tomorrow. Remember, today itself there were 84, 85 flights which were cancelled. Yesterday there were close to 90 flights which were cancelled. 30 cabin crew members, senior. They said that they'd fallen ill. They got off the phone. They didn't turn up to work. This was a strike, and that's what we can effectively use, which took place in all stations of Air India Express. Fortunately, that crisis, I think it's safe to report now, Vasudha, is now over.
Right. Thank you, Vishnu Shom, for joining us with those details. Possible solution in sight to that Air India Express row that came up after several flights had been grounded. Moving on to the political discussion of the day. In the midst of elections, a top panel at the centre has come up with a working paper that has said that the share of the Hindu population decreased by 7.82% between 1950 and 2015 in India, while that of Muslims increased by 43.15%, suggesting that there is a conducive environment in the country to foster diversity. Now, this is a working paper by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, and it says that the share of minorities as a composite group has increased significantly. In particular, India has witnessed an increase in the shares of Muslim, Christian, Buddhist and Sikh populations and a decline in the shares of Jain and Parsi populations. We'll take you through all the main data points of this paper, authored by economist Shamika Ravi, who's also a member of the PM's Economic Advisory Council, and others in the course of the next 60 minutes, but in the next 30 minutes. But the reason we are discussing this tonight is also because these findings have ignited a political battle between the BJP and the opposition. Now, BJP's Amit Malviya has said that, referring to the alleged decline in the Hindu population, left to them, there would be no country for Hindus, while MIM's Mr. Owaisi has called it a WhatsApp university material. Now, differential fertility between Hindus and Muslims has always fueled political narratives. Now, how can one dispassionately look at findings like this, especially when we are in the middle of an election and also at a time when latest NFHS data has shown a decline in fertility rates across communities, with Muslims registering a prominent and highest decline in TFR? That's what we asked tonight. But joining me now is Dr. Shamika Ravi, the author of the said working paper and also member of the PM's Economic Advisory Council. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for speaking to NDTV. Your main argument in this paper is that India has welcomed diversity, allowing minority groups to thrive. Now, this has not been the case in India's immediate neighborhood. In the time frame that you have selected, while the population of Hindus has grown 3 times, that of Muslims has grown by 5 times. Now, is India the only outlier where the share of majority population has declined? What about the other countries, since you have also studied 160 countries across the world, and also tell us what made you attempt this paper?
So the reason we did this is, first of all, I must be honest, there is this novel data set that came to my attention that actually looks at demographic across religious lines, changes over long time period. Though 65 years doesn't seem that long if you consider, countries, but 167 countries, we are able to just look at what is happening to share of minority. Now, there are many things that go into this final outcome of whether the share is growing or declining. We are abstracting away from that. We are just saying that, if the environment is conducive and policies are supportive, then you are going to see growth in minority population in countries. And we do in fact find that India is an anomaly in the neighborhood, because it is following the trends of Western liberal democracies, plural democracies, where you are seeing substantial increase in proportion of minority population, or a decline in the majority population. Now, if you look at just the neighborhood, then the only other country where you see a majority decline or a minority increase is Myanmar, where you have seen the Buddhist population and a particular Theravada Buddhism fall by 10%. But all other countries in the neighborhood, whether you look at Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Bhutan, so not necessarily just Muslim countries, but across the neighborhood, these are countries where the size of the minority in terms of the share have fallen alarmingly. And I think that makes India's experience of the last 65 years even more remarkable.
That's interesting, Dr. Ravi. So what explains the differential rates of growth within the country? Fertility rates in Tamil Nadu or Kerala are quite different from the same in, say, states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh.
Well, the share in the population, Vasudha, is not just fertility. Of course, we have differential fertility. One is across religious lines, and we are seeing convergence, etc. But it will also vary across states and regions. So first of all, we will have to look at much more granular sort of evidence on what is happening in terms of changes. But I think more importantly, it's not fertility alone. There are many other factors that lead to this final outcome of a share of minority growing. It could be migration, as you are seeing in the case of Europe. Countries of Europe have seen a very significant, dramatic decline in share of majority religion. Places like France and all have seen almost close to 30% decline in majority over the last 65 years. So migration is a predominant factor there. Then, of course, conversion. You're also seeing significant conversions happen across different parts of the world and including in India. And, if you look at Africa, for instance, and the reason I say conversion is because in Africa, Vasudha, in the beginning, the baseline year of 1950, there were 24 countries which had animism, right? These are indigenous religions. These are not monotheistic religions. 24 countries had animism as the main or the majority religion. In 65 years, today, none of those 24 countries have animism as a majority or a main religion. So, there is conversion. There is, of course, conversion as a factor too. So it's a combination of fertility differences, migration, and conversion.
So, Dr. Ravi, what is the policy prescription coming out of your study?
I wouldn't just say working, Vasudha. I mean, these are empirical questions. This might very well be extremely troubling too, but these are empirical questions. We will have to now look at what exactly is the region and religion and etc. So we have to see declining urban-rural differences are there. So there are many urban pockets where fertility rates are significantly lower than our national level, which is just a little below replacement rate. It's around 2.01, I think was the last projection. So we are below fertility, the replacement rate, which is, I think, expected. But the rate at which it's declining further, I think we need to now study it much more, across regions, religions, etc. Because eventually we are also thinking, demography is a very important, people build nations. So I think we will have to study this problem of crashing fertility very closely.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for speaking to NDTV. That was Dr. Shamika Ravi, economist, who has also co-authored the paper titled Share of Religious Minorities, findings of which we are discussing now. To get the political perspective, joining us now is Rajiv Chandrasekhar, MOS, IT and Skill Development. Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for speaking to NDTV. So we've seen this report by the PM's Advisory Council on the Hindu population declining by at least 7% from 1950 to 2015. You have tweeted, you have posted on X about matters such as illegal immigration and also conversion. How big are these concerns?
No, I think it's not a question of whether it's big or small. I think certainly the report reveals that there have been some pretty significant changes to our demography and makeup of our population in the last few years, few decades. And some questions do arise because the rate of growth of one particular community is obviously higher than many of the other communities, and therefore some questions do arise from it. I put this out for people to think about and talk about. First question, of course, is how has this happened? What is the cause for one community to grow much faster than any other minority community or indeed the majority community? Is there any connection to illegal immigration? Is there any connection or correlation to conversion? So this is something that I think we should all think about and examine, and have maybe some people in the government examine this. The second question that arises from this is, when one minority community grows so much faster than other minority communities, is there a risk that the other minority communities like Parsis and Jains and Buddhists and Sikhs and Christians are crowded out from the benefits and the schemes that are designed for minorities, from education, from jobs, to opportunities? So therefore, there is a legitimate question that needs to be asked. What is the status of the other minority communities which are not growing so fast? Are they being deprived, or do they still have access to these to the protection under the Constitution? And the third is the most very important in the context of this debate on reservations is that when one minority community, the Muslims, are growing so fast, and a political party like the Congress is talking about going against the constitution and giving that same community more reservations, which is totally against the constitution, what then happens to the other communities in India which have been deprived for so many decades, the OBCs, the SCs, the ST community, brothers and sisters, what happens to them if on one hand you have the Muslim community grow so fast and they are being promised reservations? So what happens to the opportunities? What happens to the growth and development of these, the OBC, SC and ST brothers and sisters is again, I think, a legitimate question that this report will is causing people to talk about and think about. So there are these questions, I think, as we look to the future of India, as we look to a Viksit Bharat, these are legitimate questions that arise from this report. And I hope the people, through the prism of opportunistic politics, but through the prism of really planning for the future of India in a much more inclusive way where everybody has opportunities, considers these questions and looks for answers.
So you come from the state of Kerala, and there's always a lot of talk about demography when it comes to Kerala and of course Assam and Bengal. So are there any specific regions in the country where you think this issue is of a larger concern?
No, I think I'm not so sure we should make this into some narrow regional thing or something to do with an election. I think these are questions to do with when one community is growing, are we making sure that other communities are also being protected and are looked after? Second is, in our haste, in some political parties, haste for vote bank politics, and they are so eager to promise a particular vote bank more and more things, are they overlooking the legitimate rights and legitimate concern of the OBCs, SCs and STs, whom our founding fathers and the architect of our constitution, Dr. Ambedkar ji, had talked about for many years. And as you know, for many years they were denied many of their rights. So these are questions that I think we should be examining and talking as we look to the future of India and we look to the future that we are all hopefully building, which is Viksit Bharat.
So questions are also being raised about the timing of this report, because this is coming in the middle of elections, and some may also call it scaremongering. How does one assess data in the midst of this ongoing political controversy around reservations? Because BJP is saying that Congress will bring in Muslim quotas, and the Congress is claiming that BJP will alter the SC/ST reservation policy.
I particularly don't feel that when there is some truth that is put out there, data and facts that are put out there, whether it is during election, before election or after election, facts remain the facts, the truth remains the truth. And there is no way of people trying to wriggle out of an uncomfortable truth and to find a more convenient truth. These are the facts as they have been put in front of the country. This is election time, and I think everybody has a legitimate right to understand what is going on, what has gone on in the country for the last several decades. And today we are all, as every Indian is today, focused on the future of India, the Viksit Bharat. So therefore, everything that has happened in the last 10, 50 years is legitimate, that every Indian is aware of all the facts as we go into this election and for subsequent election. So I don't see this as, I see the Congress's griping about this as legitimate, their standard legitimate strategy, which is that they keep wanting to avoid talking about the future of India. They want to talk about any idea for the betterment of people, and they want to look at opportunistic vote bank politics. This may not be convenient for their vote bank politics, but certainly it's a fact and a truth that has been put out there for people of India to see, understand and think about.
Moving on to a quick focus on the Prajwal Revanna sex crimes case. Nearly 2 weeks since the first case of sexual crimes against him were filed, the JDS MP from Hassan is yet to appear before investigators. Despite an Interpol Blue Corner notice, there is still no word on where he is. But the political exchange between the Congress and the JDS in Karnataka has been intense, with H.D. Kumarasamy even going to the governor today demanding a fair probe by the SIT, if not by the CBI. Well, Kumarasamy had claimed that Karnataka Congress President and Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar was the one who orchestrated the releasing of pen drives with Prajwal Revanna videos. Speaking exclusively to NDTV's Pratibha Raman, Shivakumar has categorically denied his role. He further said that no one in the Congress was even aware of these allegations.
We have with us Deputy CM of Karnataka, Mr. D.K. Shivakumar. Sir, now that the elections are over in Karnataka, what are the prospects of the Congress here?
Congress will win a comfortable more than 20 seats in Karnataka. We are very happy that the entire party, the voters of Karnataka, felt that we have promised whatever we have promised, we have delivered, and better than the assembly election, I am confident this election will go through.
So one of the biggest election controversies has also been the Prajwal Revanna case, with allegations against you saying that you could have been responsible for leaking the videos.
I am not a fool, or I am not a mad. I am no way connected to it. It is their blunder, it is their hit wicket. And you know what the Chief Minister has spoken, the former Chief Minister has spoken. I am no way connected to it. And it is all their own blunder what they have made themselves. See, we do politics in a straight way. We not, but instead of speaking all these things, the BJP knew everything, he knew everything, Kumarasamy, they would have protected their own this one. They are putting onus on. In what way we are connected? In what way we are no way connected? Already Kumarasamy said that it is his, he doesn't have, he distanced himself from his father and his brother. Now why is he speaking on this? It is all his own. He is the actor, he is the director, he is the distributor.
So are you worried about the political fallout because the JDS is targeting you?
No, naturally, because they feel I am a threat to them. They feel that they are a threat to them. They naturally target whom? They can't target people who goes on the street. More the strong, more the enemies. Less strong, less enemies. No strong, no enemies.
So was the Congress aware of these allegations, sir?
We are not aware of these allegations. We never knew about this. We never knew. Let them do whatever they make. It is the BJP and them. They are the partners. Let them do whatever they want.
Thank you so much, sir. That was Mr. D.K. Shivakumar talking about the allegations against him of leaking the videos, saying that it is definitely not the Congress that was aware of these allegations earlier. With camera person Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Carnival has reached the beautiful city of Nizams and Kebabs, the city of Hyderabad. And you forgot the biryani and the pearls and everything else, the cuisine of Telangana that we talk about.
तेलंगाना जो सैनिक है वो बीआरएस पार्टी है।
क्यों घबराहट है? ये तो चुनाव है। चुनाव में तो हार जीत होता रहता है।
बातों से नहीं चलेगा। काम भी दिखाना है।
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
आईपीएल का हल्ला बल्ला और सबसे शानदार कवरेज सिर्फ एनडीटीवी पर।
In our country,
we choose our leaders, we decide who is going to be ruling the country, and it is something which is both a fantastic right, privilege, and we should also see it as our constitutional duty. So this election, I am going to be there, and I hope you all will join me in casting your vote too.
Data drives our understanding of any election. What does a dip in voting percentage mean? What are the big factors to watch out for this poll season? Join me, Amitav Tiwari, in a data deep dive only on NDTV, where we decode and simplify the data for you.
The biggest carnival of democracy, India's general election.
Prime Minister Modi makes a formidable bid for a hat-trick.
The opposition is trying to mount a united challenge.
And the southern parties are standing their ground.
As battle lines are drawn,
Join us on an exciting journey on the road to 2024.
Indian elections, a festival like no other.
And NDTV covers elections like no other. When India votes, you can count on us.
It's the essence of democracy, and we stand firmly behind it. We are thrilled to join NDTV's pledge.
It's the world's biggest festival of the power of a vote and the power of a citizen.
It is a day we must answer our call to duty as citizens of India.
We get this opportunity to determine how our country will be governed.
It is this constitutional duty through which we can make a difference in our nation's future.
And make India always a better place than it was yesterday.
I certainly plan to vote as long as I'm able to vote.
We are joining NDTV's Pledge to Vote initiative.
Let us make democracy stronger by going out and exercising our franchise. Jai Hind.
First gadget that we have for this week's episode is this. The all-new Xiaomi 14 Ultra. I mean, ये जो phone है, this is a flagship device from Xiaomi. Packs a lot. मतलब, if you talk about the in-hand feel, the device is really premium. The camera is made in collaboration with Leica. I mean, जो lenses हैं वो Leica ने बना के दिए हैं, and the entire hardware is really fantastic. The phone feels like a flagship phone. काफी interesting features हैं, things like the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. We have a nice Quad HD Plus display, 5000 mAh battery, and I mean everything packed in this nice looking package. Let's have a closer look कि आखिर क्या features हैं all together इस Xiaomi 14 Ultra में, and then I'm gonna tell you what do I think. मतलब इस फोन के बारे में मेरे क्या थॉट्स हैं, so that you can make an informed decision of buying or not buying this phone.
Forget ordinary. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra has arrived to redefine smartphone power. Its massive 6.73-inch display doesn't just boast eye-popping resolution, ये blaze through करता है with a 120 Hz refresh rate, making every swipe and scroll buttery smooth. And for those clumsy moments, rest assured the display's toughened protection can handle the occasional bump or drop. Under the hood, the Ultra pack करता है 16 GB of RAM, जो कई लैपटॉप्स के मुकाबले ज़्यादा है. और जब इसको बूस्ट की ज़रूरत हो, इसका 90 watt fast charging and wireless charging have your back, ready to get you back in the game in record time. Cameras की बात करें तो prepared to be amazed. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra wields a quad camera setup that's like having a professional photography studio in your pocket. 450 megapixel cameras, each with unique strengths, deliver stunning shots in any lighting condition, from vibrant landscapes to dramatic portraits. और selfie lovers के लिए, the 32 megapixel front camera ensures you look your best every time. Durable, you may ask. You bet. With an IP68 dust and water resistance rating, this phone's ready for your next adventure.
So friends, there you have it. आपने देख लिया है all together. Now you have the entire information about this Xiaomi's latest 14 Ultra on sale right now, retailing at rupees 99,999 rupees. और जो variant है ये है 16 GB RAM और 512 GB storage के साथ में. Now I'm going to give you my honest take about this phone. So guys, the fact is कि phone का जो hardware है
Hello and welcome. You're watching the news. I'm Gargi Rawat. Stay with us for all the news you need to know, all the big stories of the day. The Air India Express crisis has been resolved. Also coming up ahead, an exclusive interview with Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy. Let's take a look at the headlines. Finally, a breakthrough in talks between the protesting employees and management of Air India Express on day 2 of the crisis that saw 85 flights cancelled. SAC employees will be reinstated. The crew will be back at work tomorrow. As the Congress and JJP push for a floor test in Haryana with the government in minority, some JJP MLAs meet with the BJP, but Dushyant Chautala hits back, says even BJP MLAs can switch. Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy, in an exclusive to NDTV, says the BJP is trying to stop him from campaigning. Also says, why is the Home Affairs Ministry intervening in a political case? In the Karnataka sex tape horror case, now a blame game between the JDS and the Congress, with JDS claiming that the tapes were deliberately leaked and it was a political conspiracy. Deputy Chief Minister DK Shiv Kumar denies leaking the tapes, says not a fool to leak those videos. Ahead of the Supreme Court's hearing tomorrow, the Enforcement Directorate puts in its affidavit against Arvind Kejriwal's bail, saying the right to campaign is not a fundamental or constitutional right. The Enforcement Directorate also says in its affidavit that bail will set a bad precedent. And at the Padma Award ceremony at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, Padma Vibhushan for Chiranjeevi and Vejanti Mala, and Padma Shri for Joshna Chinnappa for sports. All right, so a breakthrough in the Air India Express crew crisis. That it was day 2 of the crisis, with 85 flights being cancelled today. But finally, after hours of negotiations, finally a breakthrough. The employees who were sacked will be reinstated and the crew will return to work tomorrow. Well, let's go across now to Vishnu and Ishika for more on this. And Vishnu, first to you, a big relief that this crisis has been resolved and hopefully things will go back to normal soon.
Well, this is the letter which actually announces it all, details of which we broke here on NDTV about half an hour ago. And the letter is a letter signed by representatives of the management, the conciliation officer and the chief labour commissioner in Delhi, and also representatives of the union. And this basically says that on the appeal of the Chief Labour Commissioner, the management agreed to reinstate 25 cabin crew who've been terminated on the 7th and 8th of May 2024 for reporting sick. As a concerted action immediately, the management will review the cases of these cabin crew as per their service regulations. I, in fact, was able to speak to officials within Air India Express to understand what the second line means, that the management will review the cases, and I was told that this doesn't mean that they're going to be terminated a second time around, but every case will be looked at. But yes, the strike, if I am to use that word, is now over, and they are expected to return to work immediately. It will take 3 to 4 days for the airline to restore services, so that's going to take a little bit of time, but it's done and dusted. It's been difficult. And it's resulted in huge problems for thousands of passengers. 178 odd flights cancelled in less than 48 hours. Gargi.
That's right. And Ishika, huge inconvenience to passengers. Also, the ministry was watching all these negotiations very closely, and now everything, all the issues have been resolved.
Well, yes, certainly, as we were reporting for the past few days, that it were the passengers that were majorly impacted and, in fact, affected because of this, because even today there were 85 Air India Express flights that were cancelled across India. Now, this includes the international as well as the domestic flights. But today, the Chief Labour Commissioner held a very crucial meeting today. The meeting lasted for 5 hours, and after that, certainly a big breakthrough in this crisis of the Air India Express. Now, in fact, in this very order, it is said that all the employees, who were terminated, they will be reinstated. And not just that, all the employees will be rejoining their duties with fitness certificate effective immediately. Not just that, from the management side also, the union has received assurances. The management has assured that all the issues, all these grievances that the employees had, all of them will be sorted out. They will be holding one-on-one talks over this issue. And even if that is not, even if that doesn't happen, then another Chief Labour Commissioner meeting is going to be held on 28th of May, where in fact, a review of what all the steps were taken, all of that will be discussed in that. But certainly now it is a big breakthrough in this crisis, and certainly we are hoping that in the coming days the passengers of the Air India Express will not be facing any more issues in regards to the cancellations and delays of the Air India Express flights. Over to you.
That's right. Vishnu, also, this is the second time we've seen something like this happen. Pilots, calling in sick or crew calling in sick. And it's unfortunate that it comes to this crisis, which, as you said, impacts so many passengers. Hopefully, these communication lines can stay open and airlines ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
So very briefly, yes, absolutely. Since the Tata's mega venture into civil aviation, Air India Express, Air India, Vistara and Air Asia have all come into their fold. New management practices, new systems. Remember, a lot of these workers in Air India Express were part of the government. Air India Express was with the government. It was a legacy airline, different work practices, different cultures, different contracts, different expectations, all of that. So they need to also adjust to the new system of how they're assessed, how the airline looks into things like complaints by passengers. So it's that transformation which has been very difficult. That's also been the case when it comes to pilots at Vistara earlier, but different set of concerns and complaints. I would, however, also like to say that many of the concerns and complaints are fairly valid if you speak to independent voices, but it is something that the airline needs to resolve to ensure that something like this doesn't happen. Quite besides the fact that thousands of passengers are inconvenienced, it costs the airline a great deal of money. Remember, an airline only makes money when its planes are with passengers and flying, not when they are on the ground.
That's right. Thanks so much, Vishnu and Ishika, for joining us there with the latest developments. Well, on to the big political story of the day, and the crisis in Haryana took a fresh twist today after MLAs belonging to Dushyant Chautala's JJP met with the BJP. This as Dushyant Chautala himself is pushing for a no-confidence motion against the BJP government in the state. Though the leader played it down, he said BJP MLAs can switch as well. The Haryana government found itself in a minority after 3 independent MLAs resigned, and the Congress and JJP both pushing for a president's rule and fresh polls.
Is the BJP government in Haryana hanging by a thread? The political crisis deepened on Thursday as former BJP ally Dushyant Chautala wrote to Governor Bandaru Dattaraya demanding a floor test in the Haryana Assembly.
आज वो अल्पमत में चली गई है क्योंकि उनको सपोर्ट करने वाले 2 MLAs, एक भारतीय जनता पार्टी का, एक निर्दलीय ने इस्तीफा दे दी, और 3 MLAs इंडिपेंडेंट जो सपोर्ट कर रहे थे उनने अपना सपोर्ट विड्रॉ कर लिया गवर्नमेंट से.
Chautala, who snapped ties with the BJP just ahead of the Lok Sabha polls, made it clear that his party will support no confidence motion against the BJP government.
जननायक जनता पार्टी ने खुल के कहा है कि अगर इस सरकार के खिलाफ अविश्वास प्रस्ताव आता है तो हम बाहर से उसका पूरा समर्थन करेंगे.
On cue, the Congress also upped the ante, demanding fresh polls in the state.
मौजूदा सरकार जो है वो अपमत में आ गई है. अब नैतिकता के आधार पे इसको तुरंत इस्तीफा दे देना चाहिए. राष्ट्रपति शासन करके we are demanding fresh elections.
The chief minister downplayed Congress and JJP moves, calling them desperate.
15-20 दिन
ये कांग्रेस के लोग ही अविश्वास प्रस्ताव लेकर के आए थे। हाउस के अंदर जब बात होगी तो ज़रूर उसको पूरा करेंगे, उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं। इनको जल्दी लग रही है मेरे ख्याल से, थोड़ी मेरे ख्याल से जल्दी में है। उसको लोकसभा का चुनाव देखना चाहिए।
The JJP and the Congress's move comes amid a political upheaval sparked by the withdrawal of support from 3 independent MLAs and fresh tensions within the ruling BJP coalition. Even as Dushyant Chautala is baying for the state government, cracks seem to have appeared in his own ranks as 3 to 4 MLAs from the JJP have met former Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar. Will a defection in the JJP ranks add another twist to the Haryana tale? The 90-seat Haryana Assembly currently has 88 members. This means the majority mark is 45. The BJP has 40 MLAs of its own and is supported by 3 of the 6 independent MLAs. This makes it 43, 2 short of the magic figure. The Congress has 30 legislators and 3 independents now support it. If all 10 MLAs of Dushyant Chautala back the Congress,